All right, Boeing wants to bring a bunch of jobs here to the region, possibly, and is St. Louis going to get out of its own way, or I should say Missouri getting out of its own way? To talk about it, Tom Irwin, Executive Director of Civic Progress. Good morning, Tom Irwin. Welcome back to the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, good morning, McGraw. How are you?
Great. What are you hearing down in Jefferson City?
Well, I'm heading down there today, so I think there is at least I hope that there is a growing sentiment that the scope of this project and what it could mean to the region is just so significant that everybody is sort of willing to put whatever differences they may have aside and see if we can all work together to try and make this this program from Boeing become a reality here in St. Louis.
All right. As Executive Director of Civic Progress, one of the members of Civic Progress is Boeing, so you're in a little bit of an interesting position here to answer this question. And that is, if they get these incentives, what are the odds, or how likely is it, or what kind of position is Missouri in to get these jobs?
Well, I think they're in a good spot for a couple of reasons. One, you do have a trained workforce here. The folks that work out at the facility, they make, certainly the finest fighter craft in the world, I think by anybody's standards. It's undefeated, so I think that would certainly suggest that what they make is just an incredibly great aircraft. So you've got people that know how to do it. There is also infrastructure out there. Obviously, there are needs that they'll have to accommodate something of this size. But, I like to think that we have a good chance. The governor, is really pumped about this. The leadership of both houses have agreed to the special session, which is going to start today. So, we'll see where it ends up, but at least at the outset, it seems as though everybody is trying to pull together.
I've heard that no one state is going to get it all. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, I think that's sort of out there. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think, I think the plan is that, Missouri's going to make a pitch for all of it. If they get a portion of it, and we talk about portions, these portions are pretty significant. The thing about Boeing that maybe sometimes we take for granted here in this community, there's about 13,000 people to work out there right now. The average salary is about $70,000 a year. So these are jobs that are here in St. Louis that pay a wage that people can send their kids to school, they can go on vacations, they can do all the things that the American working class has always wanted to do and been able to do. And if you work at Boeing, you can still do it.
I've also heard that this plane will be built for the next 40 years. Is that possible?
Yeah, I've heard. Actually, I heard 30. And I've heard that from folks who I think ought to know. So I think it's somewhere in that vicinity. And I think, the thing that strikes me is that we, as Civic Progress and other organizations, we encourage the children in the community to go in school, to stay in school, because there'll be a reward at the end. And when you're looking at a program like this, if we got it, if it lasted for 30 years, you're talking about somebody that could be in the second grade at St. Louis Public Schools, and if that child decides to go to Washington University and become an engineer, he or she could possibly work on that. Or if they decided, I think I'd rather work with my hands and be a mechanic, they also would have the opportunity to work on this project.
Any problems? The reason why Washington lost it was they had a union issue. The union turned it down. Do you expect any union issues with this?
I think folks are working really hard. I think the one great thing about I'm a transplanted East Coaster, but I've been here for 33 years. The one great thing about the folks in the Midwest is the work ethic and, an honest day's work for an honest dollar. So I think our guys here are going to recognize the significance of what that all means in terms of their future and their future employment. So I'm hopeful that we won't encounter any of the issues that you've seen in Washington State.
The special session is today only, is that right?
Well, no, it can go. It certainly won't go beyond next week because they have to have this application in next week. But it is starting today. I suspect it will go through the end of the week. But hopefully, I wish it was only today. I don't know. They can get all wrapped up in one day. That'd be wonderful.
Okay. If it passes, or however it looks like to pass, it's then sent to Boeing. Do we know how long Boeing's going to take before they make a decision?
I have heard that it will be the middle of January. It's a quick RFP, it's a quick turnaround, and it's a quick decision.
Because
they've had so many orders for this 777 plane, they need to get in production very quickly.
So, it's almost comical that Boeing has all these orders for a plane, but they can't find a state to build it in.
Well, hopefully we will be able to solve that problem for them.
Yeah. Tom, ballpark it for me. What percentage-wise do you think, because we've seen the political landscape down in Jefferson City, we know they can't agree on whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday down there. Do you think they could possibly come together on this? And what percentage do you think they'll get something out of this special session?
I mean, it's difficult to handicap, and right now I'm going down there with extreme optimism. I think let me sort of twist your question a little bit. I think the worst possible outcome is that if we cannot come together to even make a proposal. I just can't think of anything more humiliating than that, and what that'll be a reflection on everybody, involved if they can't do that. So I am confident that they will come with a proposal. So I'm optimistic going in. The folks that I've talked to in the legislature, certainly the St. Louis folks, they seem to be, they're working hard. I mean, some of our leadership guys have really worked this issue over the weekend with their colleagues. So it's going to be up to them to kind of put this thing over the finish line.
Are you hearing any rural versus St. Louis versus Kansas City arguments going on?
I mean, they're going to be there. I think it's always, everybody, whoever's ox is getting gored here is going to sort of squeal. But I think in the greater scope of things, if you look at what this could mean, not only for the economy of St. Louis, but certainly for the economy of the state of Missouri, there are over 500 companies that supply Boeing around the state. I mean, so it isn't just the big facility here. It's all these ancillary subsidiaries that provide different things. They're all over the state. So this thing should have an impact from the Mississippi to the Missouri and Kansas City. I mean, it really should. It should affect every part of the state should have some stake in this. And plus, as our economy gets stronger and stronger, and as St. Louis does better and better, it just will be better and better for the state of Missouri.
Tom Irwin, I'm going to hold you personally responsible if you don't get this done.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to do everything I can.
Tom Irwin, Executive Director of Civic Progress. Drive safe, Tom, and good luck down there.
Thanks, McGraw.
You got it. Tom Irwin, Executive Director of Civic Progress. Boeing sits on Civic Progress. So clearly the people at Boeing would love to see it here in St. Louis.
That's a quick turnaround. He was saying that they hope to make a decision by sometime in January.
Right.
So you have to think that they have some ideas.
That's right. They have all these orders.
Right.
They got to start building the plane.
They've got to start, yeah.
And if St. Louis and Missouri can get out of their own way and let this happen, it could be, as he said, a 30-year windfall. Somebody in the second grade could decide to become an engineer and work on this, or a machinist and work on this.
I never thought of it that way. And he also said, it's not just Boeing, but other companies that benefit.
That's right.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And if you're going to give Walmart money to move down the street, why not give Boeing money to come here as opposed to Mississippi?
Yeah.
7:58. We'll find out next day or two. We'll find out a lot more. We'll keep on top of it. We'll tell you what we know. We'll tell you what happens.